So you can get some amazing footage from this little tiny camera right here. And I'm sure you've seen people push it to its absolute limits online. But then once you finally get one of your own, you realize mine does not look like everything that I saw advertised. But it's okay, because by the end of this video, we're gonna get you right up there with the big dogs. So before we get into the specific things that you're gonna need to change, we gotta talk about something big, and that is automatic versus manual settings. As a pro myself, I know professionals absolutely cringe at the thought of automatic settings. And while I totally agree, for a camera, this is a different case. And I only recommend shooting in manual mode if A, you have a stationary shot, or B, you have control over your lighting. Or a B.5 here, to where you may not have complete control over your lighting, like a sunny day, but you have a consistent amount of lighting and you don't have clouds coming in and out blocking your sun here and there. Unlike a mirrorless camera, you can't change the important settings while this thing is recording. And even when it's not recording, it's pretty tedious to do if you're in the middle of shooting something and don't have time to stop and scrub through a menu the size of an Apple Watch. Speaking of Apple Watch, I almost completely forgot to put mine back on. So this is a pocket camera that's meant for convenience. So if your lighting is constantly changing or you're constantly moving around, those are things that require settings to change. And if you're doing that in manual mode, it's gonna require you to do them yourself, which you can't do mid-recording. So I have come to the conclusion that in order to get the best results from the Pocket 3 in a situation where you don't have complete control over the lighting and movement and whatnot, it is best to get the best preset settings and then putting the Pocket 3 in auto mode to do all the work for you. All right, so let's get to it. At number 1, we have our image settings. So straight out the gate, the image is a little too sharp and a little too crisp. It more so gives the Pocket 3 the look of an Android camera, which, no disrespect to Android cameras, but we want the Pocket 3 to look more like a camera and less of a cell phone camera. So to change that, you're gonna swipe from the right side here, click on image adjustments, switch from default to custom, and I like to take the noise reduction down 1 and take the sharpness down 2. Also, the camera's automatic settings straight out the gate have a habit of overexposing a bit, but it's okay because the camera allows you to basically set limits on certain settings within the camera. And if we go to exposure settings, then auto, I like to set the exposure value to -0.3. If it's really just absolutely blinding outside, you can do -0.7 as well. All right, so next up is a quick one, gimbal control. We're using a gimbal here, so the goal is to get the most smooth flowing footage that we can, right? Well, the settings out of the box have a habit of moving the camera really fast and coming to these hard abrupt stops, making it less of a buttery gimbal and more like a security camera footage from Five Nights at Freddy's. So what I like to do is turn down the speed of the joystick. If you pull down the menu from the top, click the little gear icon and scroll till you find joystick speed. I find it's much better when you take it down to 1 and sometimes 2. It doesn't completely get rid of the abrupt stops it comes to, but it's way less noticeable and sudden. So when you're trying to get those smooth cinematic shots of a subject or an area, it moves a lot more like a camera on a gimbal and less like C3PO. So we're taking all these steps to get your images clean and buttery as we can, right? And so this next thing is an absolute game changer when it comes to this. And it's actually not shooting in the normal color profile, but shooting in our number 2 topic here, D-Log. I can tell you without a doubt, this is the thing that's gonna have the biggest impact on making your footage look great. So if you're not familiar with log footage, it is basically a flat, blank canvas that you get to paint yourself. You can really make colors pop without oversaturating your whole image, or even have an easier time giving it a certain mood if you want to get crazy with the color. It also focuses on having a better dynamic range, which refers to the proportions of light and dark in your video. So you have a lot more wiggle room when it comes to the highlights and the shadows. The brighter parts are brighter and the darker parts are darker, and you can change it as you see fit. And I'm not gonna lie, this has also completely saved my footage sometimes. I was able to take my footage from this to this. And I mean, it's not perfect, but I'll tell you what, it really saved my butt from some unusable footage. And so before we break this down, I gotta tell you that you're going to need a computer to do this. So if you're editing off your phone or iPad, you're gonna have to just grab your computer. But there are free editors out there. You can get CapCut, you can get DaVinci Resolve, but you're not gonna be able to do this from your phone. If you do have a way to do it that I am not aware of, go ahead and leave a comment and put people on game. Anyways, to take your footage from this ugly gray to this beautiful work of art, you're gonna need what's called a conversion LUT. A LUT is basically basically a filter for your video, and you have two types. You have conversion LUTs and creative LUTs. A conversion LUT is what's taking your footage from that ugly gray to a normal looking video, and a creative LUT is basically the filter that does all the color grading for you and can give your footage a certain mood. You just have to adjust the amount. All right, so mini tutorial here. We're not gonna make this too long. So you're gonna wanna download the LUT from DJI's official website. I'll be sure to link it in the description. And then you're gonna wanna use what's called an adjustment layer. Drag an adjustment layer into your timeline and apply it to your video. An adjustment layer allows you to apply effects to everything that's under it. And so this is so you don't have to drag those filters onto each individual video one by one. I have creative LUTs that I've acquired throughout the years. There are plenty out there. Just about every filmmaker and YouTuber is trying to sell their own. But if you don't have any at all, I have a not perfect, but a little bit of a cheap way to make your colors pop a little more. I found that you can double up the DJI conversion LUT and tune the second one down a good bit to get a good amount of color popping. It's not the most elite way to go about color grading, but if you don't want to spend money, search the internet looking for free LUTs, or learn how to do color grading yourself, it's something. Lastly, something I've talked about before and something I'm gonna talk about again. Your shutter is out of control. See, if you don't know what shutter is, it's that part of a camera that goes click, 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 click. Let's say you're outside and it's really, really bright. To darken your image, your camera is going to automatically turn your shutter way up. And with that, you lose that motion blur, and you want your camera footage to look as close to natural movement as you can. The solution for that is something called neutral density filters, or ND filters, which are basically sunglasses for your camera. You put the sunglasses on your camera and it basically has a much easier time getting to the right settings. So yeah, if you want your camera footage to look natural as far as movement, or you want to use features like hyperlapse and time lapse and whatnot, you're gonna need ND filters. Well, that's basically all I got for you guys today. If you are looking to get more creative with the Pocket 3, or you want to know the one must-have accessory for this thing, check out these videos right here. Appreciate you for watching. Like, subscribe, all that, especially if this helped you. Appreciate you for checking out another video. Holla at you.